Hello, my friends, and welcome back to The Troop. It is episode 6, and I wanted to talk quickly about a comment that someone called Julius made, where he said, it seems to me, if you're inexperienced in the game, you blame RNG. And I thought about the root cause of that comment, and I came to a realization that a lot of turn-based games have an RNG problem at the beginning. But it goes away after a while for a lot of them. So, for example, it's widely considered that the hardest missions in an XCOM 2 Impossible Iron Man run is like the first 3. Is probably Gatecrasher. And the reason why that is because early in the game, you only have like a 75% base chance to hit even in the best circumstances. And as the game moves on and your characters level up and you gain access to various things, that chance to hit basically rises to 100% for a good player. And so, when you're in the mid-game, there is no RNG anymore. XCOM is a game that pretends like it's about RNG, but once you get past the beginning, it's actually very deterministic. And I think this problem is true for a huge amount of strategy games. Of the turn-based variety, where at the beginning there is a lot of RNG, and the RNG fades away over time. Now, where the Troop really stands out is, for me, one, the base level of RNG is very, very high. But also, I'm not sure it's ever going to get any better, because I'm not entirely sure that veterancy reduces the RNG in any way. So if that's the case, then it's going to be RNG pretty much consistently throughout the whole game. But we'll have to see what happens. Okay, we only know that the enemy troops are going to be very dangerous. We only know that the enemy troops are going to be very, very dangerous SS units. And that's it. There's a question here as to whether I want those AT guns or whether I should bring some additional infantry. Let's say these have still got their HQ groups, and I like HQ groups because they've got great vision, or it appears that they have great vision. It's not going to give me enough points, or is it? I take this and I take like a slightly inferior tank group.
Yes, sir.
Take 6 objectives. Okay, this is a very, very open map.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Receiving.
The hatches are open. Okay.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting. Reporting.
Let's keep these guys out of the
Receiving.
way.
Reporting.
So I think we just push up here. The fact that this is like a massively open map
Receiving.
does not fill me with confidence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting. Reporting. Receiving.
I think these units over here are kind of useless as well.
Yes, sir. Receiving.
We need to push on this. This house position, we need to push on it pretty much as quickly as possible. Get infantry along here so that they can see this whole area. And then just occupy this area so that the tanks have got full vision.
Receiving.
We're under huge time pressure here.
On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way.
Okay.
Reporting. Reporting. Reporting.
Really? You can see all the way out there?
Reporting. Reporting. Moving out. Reporting. Moving out. Reporting. Yes, sir. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way.
Okay.
Receiving. Yes, sir. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting. Moving
I'm just
out.
going to advance them by
Receiving.
4 tiles.
On the move. Yes, sir. On our way.
Just because
Yes, sir.
it's not considered to be a conspicuous move. I have no targets right now, so there's nothing really to
Reporting. Reporting.
do.
Reporting. Moving out.
There must be enemies in this area because this tile is occupied, so...
Reporting.
I'll start by zooming in on the buildings, and then if I get lucky, I'll hit one. And if I don't get lucky, at least I'll be able to adjust the mortars easily.
Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting. Moving out.
These two guys are spotted.
Yes, sir. On our way. Yes, sir. Receiving. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting.
Don't have much choice but to push forward.
Yes, sir.
This is just a horribly open map, and I
On the move.
have not
Yes, sir.
been given any
On our way. Receiving.
um,
On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Reporting. Yes, sir. On our way.
I haven't been given any choice
Yes,
but
sir.
to just push in
On the move.
on a very tight timeline. I mean, it's going to take me 4 or 5 turns just to get the first point.
Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Yes,
I
sir.
better fold them back.
On our way. Reporting.
Great, I wasn't quite at the hedgerow, so I can't actually just jump through it.
Moving out.
I'll have to move here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move.
Do I want to adjust my mortars to go after that? Probably not. Oh, I hit the building there.
Reporting.
And again.
Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On the move. Reporting. Moving out.
He's
Yes, sir.
spotted, apparently. Okay, it's fine.
Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Reporting. Reporting.
You know what? I am going to redirect fire. If the snipers are just going to sit there. No, I'm not. Forget it. I'm going to carry on bombing this house.
Reporting. Yes, sir. On the move.
Alright, tanks are in position. The creeping assault on the house continues. Okay, they don't have a shot. That's why they moved.
Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir.
Oh, it's mine now. There's no one there. The tile is empty.
On our way. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way.
Huh. Well, that was not expected.
Reporting. Reporting.
Alright, we'll start aiming at the next house while I push up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Receiving. 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 Reporting.
Let's just aim at this front hedgerow
Yes, sir.
as well, just in case he decides to just drive
Reporting.
forward.
Reporting. Yes, sir.
Ha! Total guess.
Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way.
Kind of crazy that I see
Receiving.
them.
On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting.
Boop.
Reporting.
These machine gunners are on the clock now. They either move or they die. I don't know how many points I need to hold to prevent them from winning. There are 8 objectives on the map. I mean, if it's a defend mission, I should just be able to just use the full amount of turns provided to me. Oh, it's driving forward. Wonder if his spidey sense is tingling. I think one of my tanks is named near that point, though. I think one of my tanks is staring at that point.
Yes, sir.
$16, not great.
Yes, sir.
As close as I can get.
Receiving.
%11%.
Receiving. Yes, sir.
20 times
Receiving.
5.
Reporting.
It's because he's aiming at the tank team, the machine gun team.
Yes, sir.
27%. All of these chances are horrible.
Reporting.
Boop! It's a hit.
Reporting. Yes, sir.
Minimal.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move.
Get in that house!
Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Yes, sir. On our way. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did he just sit there? Looks like the machine gunners ran, but the
Yes, sir.
vehicle did in fact sit. Okay, this is the one that can't aim at it directly.
Yes, sir.
Minimal,
Receiving.
minimal,
Reporting.
minimal.
Reporting. Reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
7%.
Reporting. Reporting.
I do not understand why I cannot get a clean shot on this guy. These tanks are taller than these hedgerows. So, and there's like a little hole there. Why is this a minimal shot? Look, the gunner is above the hedgerow. And so above this hedgerow, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And then this is an empty space, and then the vehicle is like right there, and yet I just can't hit it. Ah, he smoked. That's why.
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
That smoke will not last forever.
Receiving.
I believe I get a 35% extra chance to hit every turn that I'm staring him down, and he doesn't move.
Yes, sir. Reporting. Moving out. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Reporting. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Reporting, reporting.
I just hope that holding 1 point is enough to not make the mission fail. That smoke must have worn away by now.
Reporting.
46,
Yes, sir.
51,
Yes, sir.
62,
Receiving.
46,
Yes, sir.
51.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You think he'll just sit there for another turn? Shall I open fire? I mean, this is 50% chances, but knowing this game, it could go horribly. But then again, if he moves, then I will also lose my bonus. Screw it. There's no reason why this shouldn't go through.
Got him. That's how you do it.
Toasty! If there ever was a toasty moment, it was that. Boop. Good effect on target.
Reporting. Reporting. Moving out.
Okay, he's got a shot from there,
Yes, sir.
which is nice.
On the move. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move. Yes, sir. On our way.
Yes, I want a good, clean kill. Okay, a tank. Getting 2 shots. I guess he's using the... I was told this in a comment, but you can use the MG and then use the gun. So I'm going to guess that he used the MG and then used the gun. That was mostly suppression.
Reporting. Yes, sir.
No, it was not mostly suppression. I actually lost quite a few guys there.
Yes, sir.
35% chance to
Yes,
hit. Alright, let's see if he sits there.
Yes, sir. Receiving. Yes, sir. Receiving. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know if I want to lose my position here. I have one shot on him, and that's not a great shot.
Reporting. Reporting. Yes, sir. On our way. Receiving. On the move.
I think as long as I don't do a conspicuous
Moving
drive,
out. Yes, sir. On our way. Yes, sir. On the move. Yes, sir.
that I can advance to kill this guy.
Receiving. Reporting.
Actually, that's the wrong side to aim.
Yes, sir.
Aim the turret on the other side because
Yes,
as
sir.
I drive forward it will be better.
Yes, sir. On our
To
way.
run. You're spotted, so you better run.
Receiving. On the move.
Get your ass in
Yes,
that
sir.
building!
On our way. Receiving. On the move. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir.
This guy is apparently spotted as well.
On our way.
Or I think he was just detected earlier. He might be hidden now. Anyway, the tanks are aiming, so he's on the clock. He better move or I'm going to unleash on him. Okay, he moved one tile. That's not a huge amount. In fact, he moved onto a tile I'm aiming at for some of my guys. I see the machine gun crew is coming back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Got a name? No. I'm gonna have to drive forward to get a shot on him. He seems to know. Either that or he's just driving to try and lay down fire on
Yes, sir.
a retreating unit.
Yes, sir. Receiving. Reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh my god, look at how amazingly clean that shot is. Right, I was going to call time, but before I call time, let's take this shot and see what happens. Ho ho ho!
Got him. That's how you do it.
Ho ho! I was like, he's actually sitting on the tile I was aiming at. And yeah, he parked right on it. Right, it's turn 11, so as long as the game just suddenly decides I've lost for not taking enough territory quickly enough, this is going very well. As they have lost 2 vehicles already, which is 6 points of morale, and I have lost nothing. Taken a few casualties, but not lost anything.
Yes, sir.
But The game is not very clear about what your failure objectives are. I think it may be that if you control no points by turn 12. At least that's what I gathered from last time. If I don't control any points by turn 12, then I'll lose. But I control 1 point, and I am crawling forward to get 2 more. I don't know how you show the... Is it one of these? That's the log. That's the map, but that doesn't actually show what I want. That's just the help. That's just the settings. I wanted to see the objective markers. Like the actual areas that each objective is.
Yes, sir. Reporting.
Oh, okay. If you select an HQ, you can see it. I guess that makes sense in its own weird way. Like, it is weird.
Reporting. Yes, sir. On the move.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes, sir.
We'll play this out with a bit more time later on. That is it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time.